majestic, elegant, red. These are all adjectives that can be used to describe these amazing works of art. These trees can add a lot of texture and color to your landscaping, giving it a more elegant appearance. Japanese maples are fairly slow growing. This tree, for example, is over 15 years old and has hardly changed in the past 3 years. As such, they benefit from minimal pruning and prefer to be left alone for the most part. Despite this, if you live in a warm or dry climate, you will probably have to water the tree regularly for the first year so that the tree can develop a healthy root system, but make sure not to overwater. Japanese maples do best in well-draining soil, so if you live in an area like this one, which is mostly clay, you will have to add a lot of organic materials such as compost, worm castings, outdoor garden soil, or soil conditioners. These will all help to support better drainage, which can prevent root rot and an overall healthier tree. Since, as I mentioned before, these trees are slow growing, they do not need any fertilizer whatsoever. However, Japanese maples do benefit from a substantial layer of mulch, so pile it on there nice and thick. Mulch is helpful in any garden as it helps to retain moisture, and as it decomposes, it adds more organic matter to the soil. Mulch can also help to protect the roots from any extreme weather conditions. And on the note of weather, one thing that you will have to consider is that Japanese maples have a very small range of USDA zones that they can live in, most only surviving in zones 5 through 7. However, there are hardier varieties that can survive in zones 4 and 8. You will have to shelter the trees from the harsher temperatures in these zones. Before buying a tree, check to make sure it can survive in your climate. If you don't know your USDA zone, I'll leave a link to where you can find it in the description. Japanese maples can withstand full sun to partial shade, but the yellow, green, and variegated varieties are all susceptible to sunburn, so you will need to keep this in mind when planting them. One major benefit to planting Japanese maples in full sun is that they get amazing fall colors, since the increased sunlight causes the leaves to produce more of the yellow and red pigments, which will give them their great colors in the fall. I cannot recommend any specific varieties because it is very easy to get stuck looking for 1 or 2 varieties that may not even be available in your area. However, I will put a link in the description to a website that has a chart of over 50 varieties with information on each. Keep in mind that most varieties of Japanese maples lose their bold red coloration in the summer and fade to a russet red or burgundy like this one. So, if you were counting on those bold colors, make sure you research the variety to see how it changes color throughout the year. Of course, red is not the only color Japanese maples can come in. As mentioned before, there are also green, lime, and variegated varieties that can all add an extra element of quality to your garden. However, you can't just throw them anywhere and expect them to look good. Depending on what you surround these trees with can greatly impact how they appear in your garden and can change whether they act as a centerpiece or an accent. This tree was placed to the side of a deck and helps to frame everything up wonderfully, whereas this tree has less vibrant leaves, but because of its interesting texture and contrasting color, acts to make this pathway more interesting. On the other hand, this one was not placed very well, since as you can see, from this angle it looks great, but from this other angle it kinda sticks out and doesn't look as good. So, before planting any tree, make sure to look at it from multiple angles to see if you like it where it is, regardless of where you're standing. Of course, you don't have to plant the tree in the ground, since Japanese maples grow so slowly, they are great container plants as well. They can make a good addition to any patio or deck, although you will need to check with your specific variety to make sure it doesn't get too big. Japanese maples can have varying degrees of separation between their leaf segments, and each of these leaves can have anywhere from 3 to 9 lobes depending on the variety. However, the most lobes I have on any of my maples is this one with 7 lobes. Also, side note, saying lobes this many times has made me realize what a strange word it is. Anyways, the reason why Japanese maples appear so elegant is because their outermost stems and leaves are almost parallel to the ground, giving them a very unique look. With the exception of weeping varieties, which instead feature a cascade of, as the name implies, weeping leaves and branches. I don't have any of these varieties in my garden, but I have seen them used in amazing ways. The last thing I have to highlight about these trees is the bark color. Some Japanese maples have bright red or bright yellow bark, so when looking for Japanese maples, keep your eye out for these interesting bark colors because they can really add a lot to the overall aesthetic of your garden. Hopefully you learned something and can now confidently use Japanese maples in your garden. They can add so much if used properly, and with that being said, thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, and/or subscribe, and please share this video with any of your friends who are interested in growing Japanese maples in their garden. It would help this channel grow and I would appreciate it a lot. Thanks and have a wonderful day.